Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. My name is FPL Phillips or Eddie, and it's been a while since we brought an episode of Eddie versus the algorithm to you all. Apologies for the lack of an upload in Gameweek 11. I was just away and unable to make a video late enough in the week where it would be of use and maybe not get outdated by midweek fixtures, etc. But we're back after what feels like a very long international break for Game Week 12, where, a lot's changed. In football, a lot can change over this period of time. Thankfully, that's the last international break for a while. I hope you're with me on that and being excited for the festive period of football. Personally, my favourite time of the year. But yeah, we're doing this series, of course, here, where if you're new around here, we do the algorithm team, so a computer-generated team put together by Fantasy Football Fix's own algorithm with its best 11 for the coming game week. I then put together my own free hit draft, if you will, and we face them off against each other for every single game week of the season. It's been absolutely neck and neck so far. Riveting stuff. I think it could come down all the way to the end of the season, so to make sure you don't miss out on that, of course, make sure you're subscribed. Without any more further ado, let's get into things, shall we? And kick things off, as always, with the algorithm side. So the score, as you can see there, algorithm picking up the win in Game Week 10 it was the last time we actually had a result, so it's now 6-5 in favour of the algorithm. And a predicament that I've not really been in previous years. I've been doing this series, if you've been following on, for a few years now, and I have actually always beaten the algorithm over the course of a season. It has been close at the start sometimes, actually, so maybe we haven't been so far out of the norm, but it's still a little bit worrying from my point of view, but exciting from a neutral perspective if you're invested in this series to see the score being close, which is nice. So the algorithm team predicted 69 points for this game week. Of course, the international break presents a lot of challenges when you're looking at data, etc. From before the international break, players can go away, injuries can happen, team situations and morales change a lot. So, of course, it's hard to judge teams' form, player form, all that kind of thing. All I've got to go on is what I saw before and what I've been keeping up to date with during the international break. But in goal for the algorithm, it's going to be Andre Onana, a keeper who was certainly in fine form. And I think if you had to put together a team of the season so far in the Premier League this year, you'd be hard pushed not to put Onana in there. And I don't think I'm even just saying that as a Manchester United fan. Ruben Amorim, of course, is now the new Manchester United boss. He's come in. I think, in general, people are thinking it's going to be a positive change for Manchester United. They do tend to have a nice bounce under new managers a fair amount of the time, or it goes the other way and they just completely bottle their first 3 games. But Onana has already looked very good this season. He's been much improved from the Onana we saw who initially joined Manchester United, making a lot of saves, getting some good points hauls as well. And I think he's maybe the best way into the Manchester United defence. There's been a lot of talk about Dalot. I think his minutes are something I'd want to be confirmed before seeing him come in, especially with Luke Shaw now back in training. I could imagine Shaw would more be used as the centre-back, and then it is going to be, Mazraoui and a Dalot, or maybe even someone like a Garnacho could come back and play in one of those 2 wing-back roles Amorim likes to use. But I think that Onana is probably the best way into the defence for that kind of reason, where you could have someone else a bit surprising playing on the left in the United defence, and then Mazraoui over on the right. So Mazraoui is probably more assured for minutes at the 2 of Dalot and himself, and that's why I'd likely go for Mazraoui over Dalot. But Onana is a very good way into the Manchester United defence. And of course, the algorithm's considering how many points he scored this season, which has been a fair amount so far. At Ipswich away, not a brilliant fixture in terms of clean sheet potential, I don't think. I think Ipswich are pretty good at scoring goals. I think most of you would agree so far this season. I'm not sure United will keep a clean sheet in that one. But there are some tricky fixtures this week, and so as far as the average fixture goes, I don't hate that one too much as a shout, and he could rack up some decent saves and maybe even bonus points, even if United don't keep a clean sheet there. So in defence then, we've got Luca Dean, Gabriel, and then Lewis Hall, a defence that, I'll be truthful, I really like, and I'm a bit jealous of this algorithm defensive backline. Luca Dean has some fantastic underlying numbers. He is forever an FPL troll in my book, but I am at that point where it's very difficult to not buy him and bring him into my own team. I think he's at 4.7 million, some ridiculously good expected assist data. He's keeping Maatsen, who Aston Villa signed for, 40 plus million in the summer, out of the Aston Villa starting 11, and he is getting, consistently over that 60-minute mark and picking up, as I said, some good attacking threat. So I really like the look of him. Crystal Palace at home, I think, is a pretty good fixture on paper from what we've seen over these first 11 game weeks so far. And so, yeah, no quarrels with that pick. I really like him and Lewis Hall on the other side, in fact, for their attacking threat. Now, Newcastle look like they might be coming into their own a little bit. They've got a nice spell of fixtures coming up. This West Ham game at home certainly being one of them. Hull has much better underlying data going forward than his counterpart Livramento on the other side of the back line, and has managed to nail down a starting spot, which wasn't something that could be said when managers like myself owned him at the start of game week 1. So that's nice to see. I think he's still like 4.4 million, so definitely a cheap bargain pick you could get into your side if you're maybe looking to add someone a bit more expensive further up the field. And then Gabriel, the Arsenal defence has kind of lost its hype a bit from the early game weeks of the season. I still think that Gabriel is a good asset. Nottingham Forest at home is not going to be an easy fixture for Arsenal. And yeah, to be honest, I do see them conceding in that game. But with Gabriel, you've always got that added goal threat from set pieces, which we haven't seen for a while now. But I think, it could come back. Maybe teams have sussed it out. Maybe teams are defending it better. If you're an Arsenal set-piece analyst, let us know in the comments, of course. But yeah, Gabriel, I think if you're holding on to him, the algorithm at least certainly backs him. And I've got faith too. In midfield, we've, of course, got Mo Salah, who's going to be in here for that Southampton away fixture for Liverpool. Smith Rowe, then, who did actually score last time out, I believe. It feels like so long ago now, before the international break. Then we've got Morgan Rogers, and we've got Cole Palmer. So not a bad midfield at all, a real range of values, and I think it does kind of represent here what the state of the midfield is like in FPL at the moment. You've got your very high-end players, your Salah, your Saka, your Palmer, your Son even when he's fit and firing, and then you've very much got the very low-end budget options in that 5 to 6 million range with Smith Rowe, Rogers, Semenyo is another option there as well. But in that mid-price bracket, what that's 6.5 million to up around the 8.5 million, there's a very, very few amount of options, and Bumo has been the standout really over the last 6 or 7 game weeks. However, that Brentford fixture run is coming to a bit of an end, so I think we are going to see teams to a point where they will have a very varied, very spread out distribution of funds in the midfield, and very high-end players and very low-end players. Not a lot in the middle. Maybe a Bruno Fernandes could make your way into your team. But yeah, I think this is the structure of how midfields are going to look. And rather than just talking about all the individual assets and whether I rate them or not, I thought it was just interesting to mention the structure there. I do actually rate Rodgers higher than Smith Rowe as a pick, but the Wolves at home fixture for Fulham does look pretty nice indeed. So I do like them both actually as assets for this game week. Palmer and Salah, not really too much need to be discussed there. Yeah, they both got away fixtures, but they are just, the two best probably midfield assets in the game alongside Saka. And yeah, consistent for a reason. Right, let's see the forward line then and round off this team. We've got Erling Haaland taking the captain's armband, which we'll talk about later. We will be discussing the captaincy in just a mo, which is going to be interesting after seeing that. He's going up against the Tottenham backline, of course, very, very sparse with defensive options right now. Is it De Grusin and Davies who are going to be playing centre-back for them as they face Manchester City at the weekend? I'd be very confident as a Haaland owner myself if you've got the Norwegian putting the captain's armband on him. And then Isak and Raul Jimenez alongside him with two very, very nice home fixtures, as we mentioned earlier on with Smith Rowe and Lewis Hall. So yeah, that rounds off this team. 69 predicted points for this game week. Let's have a look at my side and see how it compares to this one. So yeah, this is my team then, and I've gone pretty similar. The forward line is actually exactly the same, which is coincidence. I didn't see the algorithm team before I made this team. I put it together separately. We put both the graphics together at the same time. But yeah, the forward line just happens to be the same. I think it's a pretty bog standard one to go with. There are a lot of informed forwards. I consider Danny Welbeck. I consider João Pedro, who's back from injury now, as maybe more differential options. But I like Raul Jimenez as a pick. Isak, with that fixture. I'm back in Newcastle in this game, as you can see from the double defence as well. I have put Livramento in to my backline, and I've gone with Canate as well. Seeing that Luca Dean pick now, maybe someone who I didn't give enough attention to, and someone that I would maybe have in, and I'm actually looking at transferring him in my own personal team, so I'm not sure why that slipped my mind. But it's nice to go a bit different, I think, from the algorithm as well, and have a team that doesn't look too similar. We've also got Robert Sanchez in here in goal. Again, it's an away fixture, so not ideal, but just went for him. Instead, I've got Manchester United double midfielders, and I'm backing them to go out guns blazing, show some attacking prowess in this first game under Ruben Amorim in the Premier League. So Ahmad and Bruno Fernandes are two that I'm backing to start and two that I'm backing to shine under this new Portuguese management. So yeah, Fernandes obviously is going to start. Ahmad's minutes a little bit up for debate, but I think that right role of the front three that Amarin deploys is going to be perfect for Amad Diallo. I don't want to see anyone else there. The middle is going to be Højlund, presumably. The left-hand side's up for debate. Do you have Bruno there, and then do you leave Rashford out, etc., etc.? But I think that right-hand side should be Amad Diallo, and I think he is perfect for it. So I really, really hope he starts. I've got Rodgers on the bench, if not, but I'd assume that Amad would come off the bench anyway, even if he doesn't start. So, could go one of two ways. I have gone with Salah, however, as captaincy, as a thing of note. So with that, let's say, if you've got Salah and Haaland this week, who should he captain? Let's compare them now. So we've put Salah and Haaland alongside Isak and Palmer here for comparison. The predicted points go in favour of Erling Haaland, as we saw with the algorithm team. That's all it has to go on, predicted points. So 8.4 for Haaland, 7.6 for Salah, and then 6.9 and 6.8 for Isak and Palmer, respectively. So yeah, that Tottenham fixture doesn't look brilliant when you look at expected goals conceded numbers only, but that is the average over the season so far, not taking into account injuries and current weeks, etc. So 1.16 over the season average. Southampton, however, 2.15. So a much worse defence on paper. That is a significant gap in numbers, as you can see. Leicester not even as bad as Southampton. West Ham not as bad as Southampton. Actually, almost closer to being a Tottenham level defence than they are to being a Southampton level defence. So the fixture certainly goes Mohamed Salah's way. I think recent form, of course, has to go Mohamed Salah's way. Haaland is in need of a bounce back. He's in need of a good game. And you could say, in one instance, that's a good thing for him, where he's going to be out, he's going to be hungry, he's going to be trying to prove to people and doubters, whatever we want to call them. And then Mohamed Salah perhaps doesn't need that as much. And I think Liverpool will maybe pick up a more comfortable victory than the game between Man City and Tottenham. But I still see Haaland picking up 1 or 2 goals in that one. But it wouldn't be the most surprising thing if he did blank again. We've seen it very much so in previous weeks. So yeah, as teams, Manchester City have been creating more XG than Liverpool, 2.23 to 1.94. But Liverpool's Mohamed Salah, 8.27 expected FPL points per 90 compared to Haaland's 7.76. So if you had asked that a few game weeks ago, Haaland would have been sky high of Mohamed Salah. But now the tables have very much turned at this point in the year. So yeah, I'm very much torn myself. I didn't actually own Salah this week until, I'm going to bring him in this game week. So I've got to make a call myself on who to captain. I'm still very much torn, leaning towards slightly actually putting the armband on Mohamed Salah, and that's why you saw him with the armband in my team for this series. So yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the captaincy. Obviously, interesting seeing the predicted points and the algorithm give it to Haaland. But yeah, leave a comment down below. That can be your one for today to help us out with the algorithm, everything. And also, I'll get back to you if you've got any other questions. Drop them down below. And yeah, other than that, thank you very much for tuning in and watching all the way to the end for another episode of this Eddie versus the Algorithm series. And until the next one, I guess I'll see you. May your arrows be green for Game Week 12. Goodbye.